small number of people here today.
Yeah, which I would imagine in August certainly is not surprising.
Yeah, yeah. I need to do another round of outreach. I've got some additional people that I'm bringing in for speakers. I'll put a note to probably do that in the next day or two, so we can get more of a lineup. Yeah, I was hoping. Uh, the, yeah, again, we don't have a whole bunch of people here, so I don't know, Elizabeth. I'll kick off. I guess I don't really need to go through the whole um, opening where I usually talk about the um, uh,
privacy,
the exactly and all that.
confidentiality.
But is there? Yeah, there's Jeff. Is there anything that y'all want to discuss? Jeff, hey, how you doing? It looks like we don't have a whole lot of people on the line today. It's been August and probably everybody's on vacation. So we might probably make this a short one, but we should take the time, I think, maybe to kind of hear what you guys are doing and hear about anything relevant or anything that you guys want to talk about. Jeff, can you hear me?
There you go.
No, I can. No, I can't.
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah, I couldn't hear you before.
Oh, you're still getting ready. Elizabeth, you're based out of DC, aren't you? Elizabeth?
Yeah, the same problem I did.
Yeah, I'm some issues. How's everything going, Jeff?
Good.
Good. Yeah, like I was saying, we don't we don't have a whole lot of people on today. We don't have a speaker today, so we'll probably make this short, but wanted to kind of open it up to see if there's anything y'all wanted to discuss or anything going on that we should. This is going to be recorded, so anything that we want to announce for people.
Yeah, I guess this is because of vacations in August, but
Yeah, exactly. I probably should have. If I've been doing this long enough, I probably should have just canceled it. But
Oh, no worries. It doesn't hurt to check in.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
The thing I would say is I've been working on this net zero supply chain solution architecture. I've got it done at a conceptual level, but not at a technical level. So I think some of the people that are normally on this phone, we're gonna ask for some of their help at some point, as far as things related to carbon accounting. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's a net zero. What this is the objective is to show how Hyperledger projects can be a technical reference architecture for corporations interested in reaching net zero on a supply chain. Will they? It doesn't give them. It doesn't. Sometimes there's some misunderstanding. It does not lay out a blueprint to become net zero, but it does show how you can monitor your supply chain at a granular level, at a high level, in real time, to go net zero, and things that can take place in real time if there's an issue with your plans or transportation routes or manufacturing, how you can do offsets or generate more carbon credits with your own operations than you would with some of the other software. So again, this is focused as real time, and it would integrate to the back end systems that do the actual carbon accounting on whether it's a weekly or a monthly reporting basis. This is a real time monitoring system at a technical level. It'll be at a technical level to show how to monitor a supply chain to see if it's running net zero, or within your plan, I should say. And that's where we're in the supply chain. We're a little bit, I guess I use the word weak in understanding what a corporation does from start to finish, as far as if they're interested in their carbon accounting for their supply chains. Do they use an enterprise resource planning system to generate what they think is going to be the emissions for their supply chain? Do they put that in a bank somewhere where they look to see that versus offsets? How does all that work? But then real-time generation of data and measurements, and some of it could be real-time in the sense of IoT pumping out actual CO2 equivalents or other greenhouse gases. But doing estimates as it comes along and seeing where you go in real time. So your supply chain, if it takes a week to get a car from China to Port of Los Angeles, what is the emissions total on that, and how do you offset that with the goal of becoming net zero? And you can monitor your progress in real time, trying to move to a net zero supply chain, or at least see where you are standing or what you would have to do to move that. But again, the goal is how you could do it with all the Hyperledger projects with Fabric and Indy and if BASIC was needed. And that would be a reference architecture for somebody wanting to do that, to use the Hyperledger project. So again, we're gonna need some help. I've still been putting together more of a work. I've got the solution architecture done from conceptual level, but a work plan on how would we actually do this? Can we even do it? A lot of this is going to take place in later this month in September. Do we even forge forward? Does it make sense to even try to do something like that, or what's the value of it? So that's where we're still scoping it. It's going to be a chunk of work.
I mean, it sounds amazing, and I'm really glad you're doing it. I think that we've needed something like this for a long time. I was wondering if, well, first I would say, do Cy and Bert know about your work on this? Because I think they probably appreciate it as well.
Who?
Cy Chen and Bertrand Roux.
Yeah, Cy does. I had a conversation with him about it. He's very busy on the. What's the thing he works on? Is he in carbon sustain, that company? Because a rep in the carbon sustain company has some interest in it. And I've held off on how that even works with another firm coming in and doing Hyperledger work. Cy Chen, I've talked to him through emails a couple of times, and he's extremely busy on doing something, rounding out something with carbon accounting. This is a back-end system. He's very interested in seeing something like that because, again, this would tie into back-end carbon accounting systems. So,
well, yeah, I mean,
I don't think he knows. I can't recall having a conversation with him on that. So we are.
I mean, they're both really busy, but I feel like if as you kind of put together your plan, it would probably make sense to almost have an advisory board, like where you just check in with these guys and say, this is where we are. Do I have any questions? But just probably do it in chunks. Maybe even where you include them both together, or I don't know, whatever works better to reach out to them individually. Because sometimes if you do it together, one person feels like they don't need to respond. But then again, sometimes if you include them together, one of them sees one of the responses and then they respond in turn.
That's that work plan we're trying to figure out is we need that help. We can't do this in a silo. It's impossible.
Yeah, exactly. So I would almost call like an advisory board and just say it's going to be really low touch. We just want to basically get stuff in front of you when we have kind of a mailing list to kind of include them on when you have kind of milestones and then kind of key issues. As far as working with another organization, that's what we want. We want to drive people. We want awareness. It's an open source environment. We want people to use what's been built to build within the network. If they're using a third-party software, fine. If they're integrating with what we're doing as well, great. Like that's what we're trying to do. Like we're not afraid of third-party software. We want to integrate with it, right?
Okay.
We want them to use it. So that's great. I mean, I'd be open and would love for them to build on anything.
You just got a few minutes. If I can grab your screen, I could show you.
Sure.
Something we've put together. Let's see.
You should be able to share your screen, David. Let's see. Are you able to share your screen, Jeff?
I think you should have access.
Okay.
I've clicked on it. Can you see it right now?
It just came up.
Oh yeah.
So this is again, this is at a high level, but there's a lot of work around this, but this was just getting stuff down on paper to get this thing going. That's an initial idea around the solution architecture. Again, you would pump into this systems like Fabric and so forth, and all the encryption and Indy and things of that nature. But there's a lot in here around. You can see trying to figure out just the putting together, like you said, Sherwood, a work plan to vet all this out. So this is a very high level, conceptual level architecture. I shouldn't say solution architecture, but this is where I should say I've headed at this point by myself. Now it's going to be more of putting together, like you were saying, a work plan. We can't go in a silo on this, obviously. Our last supply chain meeting, which was last Tuesday, a week ago, was our co-chair meeting, saying we need to put together a meeting, maybe in our regular times, to go over this on both sides. Because you guys have more around this than we do. So I've gone through all the architecture at a technical level of all the Hyperledger projects. So again, those would have to get all fitted in here, but even this isn't even complete. What you're looking at on the screen is not complete. There's more things that have to take place, but this is where we're thinking in this middle piece here. This is what Sai-Chen has seen, this middle piece here, a digital twin, which is really Hyperledger projects, and then all the feeds and so forth. And again, there's a lot around that, but and then over on the right is where Sai-Chen is working, so these are the carbon accounting projects, and then also the Hyperledger one, it's global climate accounting system, which I think is really seen on the bottom. Also, the Hyperledger carbon accounting solution would be the ideal one to fit in the back. So, you know, there's just things on here that, again, about this data is unaudited and blah, so on and so forth. But that's where we're going with it right now. So that's it. That's all we got so far. And again, a lot of this is just methodology to put all this together. Again, it's just started. I'm just putting notes down, so you can see a lot of stuff in here, just around a work plan more than the image. But
Right.
Somewhat of a idea where we're headed at this
Yeah,
point.
I would say in looking at this, just when you are kind of engaging with Cy and Bert, be pretty directed in specifically what you need help with, and kind of be clear. Because one thing, as I'm looking over this and the volume of solutions and work that's involved with it, just being, I think we'll have better luck if we're very specific and help people kind of get to the weeds and look, understand exactly what they're being asked.
Yeah.
But this is great.
There's also
I see
features
some
here
slides. I see
this
some
is me.
slides from.
Yeah, this is me putting this
Slides I
together
recognize.
without any help from carbon accounting piece. So I got this out here and I said, okay, at some point we got to show this to carbon accounting folks, because there may be some significant, somebody looking at this right now, whether it's you or Elizabeth or Bertrand or whoever, could say there's some big gaps here.
Well, I do see
and
something.
that's what we want. We want that feedback. And
Oh, Elizabeth sees something.
Yeah, a carbon offset bank, suddenly you're going to have regulations and issuance. And when somebody's going to complain on in the UK, or somewhere that this bank contains carbon credits or offsets that aren't even the Paris Agreement, Article 6, additional removals, and what are they doing there? And so why do you need a bank when the ledger's fine?
Good question. Some of this is from text that I picked up on. So a lot of this has to be vetted. I know that area on the bottom right is interesting, we should say, because supply chains themselves, as they're running, also can generate offsets. And so, but again, this is
but the offset stays with the token.
If there's a small company that decided that they're going to, they've got a supply chain, they're moving steel from somewhere domestically in the U.S. from point A to point B, and they're not net zero, and they decide that they're going to invest because it's worth it. They're going to spend $5 million, and they're going to put up a solar panel farm and generate electricity that way. So I don't know if you really call that an offset anymore, but they're generating their own offsets in a sense. And maybe offset's not the right word, but in any case, we're looking at stuff like that that somebody could do. But at this point, it's a good thing. That's what we need, Elizabeth. We need that feedback off of this. This diagram is kind of like a starting point to get the conversation going, and then it can be just ripped to shreds if it's needed to and put back together. But we got to start somewhere.
If you've got supply chain tokens, that's the value, that the asset that's backing it, is represented in the token, that stays with the token. And then when the token gets to the person who's going to try to swap that for dollars so they can get their carbon offset, they're swapping dollars for the real cost of the product, which is reflected in all the tokens that arrive with it along the supply chain. So that's the value of it, is like the Green Party for decades now has been trying to get a program going that's, true cost pricing. You're actually paying for the environmental and health cost of the product that you're buying. How are you going to know that unless you have these tokens that all arrive along the supply chain and show up on the price tag? So you don't need a bank. It's just a swap. It's
Oh, I
individuals.
see what you're saying, okay. But anyway, that's where we are at this point, and so, it's mostly what do we have to do with groups and even maybe some of the Hyperledger architecture folks, which will be interesting, trying to get a hold of them, to validate some of the stuff around, just basic technical stuff about IoT and fabric channels. That's a big topic because of the volume that comes in. So, like you mentioned before, sure, was this sit down in August, because we don't have any meetings in supply chain in August, and work I'm doing is all focused on this, and so trying to put together how do we do this, what gets involved and so forth. Not so much what you're looking at the screen here and refining that, but more along the lines of where do we got to go to get to where we want to be. That's really it. I can unshare this if you want.
Yeah, that's great work. I look forward to seeing this this evolve. And Jeff, what is your plan? Are you do you plan to kind of, when you have this together, for promoting it and kind of building awareness for it? Because you probably haven't thought ahead that far, but it would be great to have a presentation and see how we can share a little bit once you kind of have it in place. And maybe it's even something that we could use as a presentation to kind of build awareness. Once you kind of get your kind of plan in place, and kind of invite people to participate and brainstorm a little bit.
Yeah, it's similar to that ebook we did in the supply chain last year where we got input. Now we got input from third parties, but we put that ebook together. And so this is the same thing, is to get this going and you're right, make this aware of where we are with it, where we're headed with it, and get as much input as we can through the Hyperledger group, or it sounds like even third parties. I can't remember the guy who carved this thing, his name begins with an N. That's all I remember. I talked to him though a little bit live, and they're very interested in this.
Are you talking about Kentaro?
Yes, that's him.
Yeah, that's another good one, because I think Kentaro provides a real world example where they're doing it for, is it Stanford or Berkeley?
Stanford.
One of them. Yeah.
Stanford.
Berkeley.
And so that.
Oh, is it Berkeley?
Is it Berkeley?
Oh,
okay. Yeah, great. I'm glad you're talking to him. Perfect. Well, keep us up to date on that.
Yeah, and I think we're talking about having a joint meeting of some sort in September, middle of September.
Okay.
To get everybody and show exactly what you said, where we're going, input, and how we get there. Obviously, all.
Do you want to plan on the voting? So we have a. Let me look real quick. I think. I'm wondering if you would want to devote the second CA2 SIG meeting in September to that, and just promote it as a kind of a brainstorm. We could put out a little email before. I don't have the date yet.
Okay,
I have to put that up there.
Yeah, that's. We definitely would like that. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I gotta build out. I gotta add a couple new meetings to the calendar, and then I'll have a better idea, and I'll verify the date with you, and just let me know if that works for you or not. But we'd love to do that.
We kind of look at this as this isn't. We're kind of looking at it as saying we're not necessarily sure this is even a supply chain thing, more along the carbon accounting group. So.
No, I think, but it's both, right? And that's something.
Both,
It's something that we've been struggling with and wanting to kind of figure out a way to break down and break down silos. And there's been a lot of ideas, but I think having just a project like this, especially when you link it to a real world example, brings them together nicely. So I think it's
Yeah.
really cool.
Okay.
Great. Well, sounds good. So I've got my action items. Anything else that we want to cover today while we're together? Okay. Well, if that's the case, then thank you both for joining, and have a great productive week.
Sounds good.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
y'all. Enjoy your summer.
Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye.